Once again, my name is Nob. This video is about the two creation stories in the book of Genesis. A lot of you who are familiar with the Bible, when you read the book of Genesis, it looks like as if one person sat down and wrote it. A lot of people thought it was Moses who wrote the Torah, but at this point, it's been proven that Moses did not write the Torah. Too many things, too many clues in there shows that Moses did not write the book, the first 5 books that they call the book of Moses, which is the Torah. So there's a video I already posted before called Who Wrote the Bible? Well, if you want to know who wrote the Bible, after you watch that video, there's a real good book you can go and read. You can buy it from Amazon, called Who Wrote the Bible by Richard Elliott Friedman. That's a very good book. After you read this book and other books, you'll have an idea on how the Bible was written, especially the first 5 books, the so-called the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. So if you watch that video, so you'll have an idea what I'm talking about. In that video, you'll see how I discussed something called the documentary hypothesis. The documentary hypothesis is when you have one person, like a redactor, a person who sat down and took a few sources that he found, he put them together, and then he was able to come up with the first 5 books from Genesis to Deuteronomy, and then after Deuteronomy, from Deuteronomy all the way up to 2 Kings. So that was also one writer. So if you watch that video, you'll have an idea, you know, what I'm talking about as far as the 4 sources put together. You know, the first source called the source, the E documents. So the E stands for Elohim, or the Elohis. Those people who believe that the name of the Most High was Elohim first, and then later on, when Moses encountered the Most High on the mountain in the burning bush, and then the Most High in Exodus, the 6th chapter, and the Most High told him, "Look, before nobody knew my name, now they know me by another name. They know me by Elohim," which a lot of people know this is like a title, like saying gods. So Elohim, but now Moses, I'm letting you know, my name is really Yahweh, or Yahweh, or Yahweh. So you can let the Israelites know that Yahweh or Yahweh sent you. So that's the J document. And then you have, no, that's the E document, the J documents. And that same book, inside that book of Genesis and the other books in the Torah, you know, you'll see where they always refer to the Most High's name as Yahweh to begin with, not Elohim first, and then Yahweh later. So it was always Yahweh, and every time you see the word Lord in English, Lord God, in the Tanakh, if you go into Hebrew, it's really the Most High's name would be there. So that's the J documents. And then you have the P documents. P stands for priest. So the priest is more like a combination of both Yahweh and Elohim. And the priests, the P documents, that was the biggest of all the documents, of all the sources. And then the P document was written as an alternative for J and E. And then the last source is the D document. That's the Deuteronomy documents. Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy. Well, one person, it looks like only one person sat down and wrote Deuteronomy. And that same person wrote also the next, I believe, 7 books, but from Deuteronomy until 2nd Kings. And according to what scholars are saying now, they believe the D documents, which is Deuteronomy, which is another law, like I said, an alternative for the J document and the E document, may have been written by Jeremiah. And the person who took all these sources and put them together is called a redactor. And then they're saying that redactor most likely may have been Ezra. So, well, in this video, my focus will be mostly about the two creation stories in the book of Genesis. So if, let's say, in one book, like the book of Genesis, you have different sources, meaning different people wrote their books, and then someone came like a redactor and put them together to make it look like it was one book. So obviously you'll see there'll be different version of the story, different point of views, and there may even be some contradictions. I'm sure there's a lot of people, especially those who don't believe in the Bible or who are against the Bible, they're quick to point out contradictions, not knowing that if you take different sources you put together from different people from different times, there will be, most of the time, there will be contradictions. You know, it's like different people want to talk about a story, but they have their own views for that time. So there'll be a little something. For example, you'll see it in the and well, that's outside a little bit. I'm gonna go to the creation thing, but before the creation, you'll see. I'll give one example. Besides the name, the two names where you see Elohim and Elohim and Yahweh, you see, you know, two different people, two different groups of people think differently when it comes to the Most High's name. Then another example, you'll see in the creation story, they'll say, well, the Most High worked for 6 days, and in 7 days he hallowed the 7th day. And then that's what Sabbath is about. That's in one book, and that's in the P documents. And the P document, that's the first creation story. When you read history books, you'll see that scholars says the P document probably was written sometimes after the Assyrian captivity, like after 722 BC. But the Bible starts with the P document, although it was written later. And then you have the J document. So that's the other creation story I'm going to talk about. That supposedly was written before the P documents, but in the Bible, J was talked about second out of the two creation stories. The J starts with Genesis, the 2nd chapter, verse 4. That's another creation story. So we're gonna go there. We're gonna start with Genesis, the 1st chapter, to talk about the first creation, because a lot of people, when they read they see in the 1st chapter, it looks like it's talking about the creation of Adam, where Adam was created male and female. That's in, let us make men in our image. after our likeness, and gave them dominion. So that's one creation. And then when they go read about another Adam in the second chapter, from verse 4 and down, and it says, well, another version of creation where you have Adam, but there was no woman yet. Adam was just already there. He was responsible to name all the animals. He's already living, So Adam just saw that, oh, he was lonely. Everything else, like the animals, they had their own mate, their own spouses, their own wives, their own females to deal with. They had a buddy, but Adam saw that only him didn't have a buddy, didn't have somebody to talk to. He was lonely. And then those who already know the story, which I'm gonna go over it, I'm sure it says that the Most High closed Adam's eyes, and then put him in deep sleep, and then cut open his body and took a rib out, and then took the rib and formed a woman. I mean, this definitely looks like whenever that book was written, like they say, all the way back then around in the 700s, 700 BC. That's like more than about 2,700 years from today. You see that the way they wrote that story, it's that person was, the Most High was like a surgeon. He cut things open, the body's open, he removed something, and then he sewed it. Well, first he put Adam to sleep. That's like when you go to the hospital. They're about to operate on your body, put you to sleep, anesthesia, then cut open the thing, do the work, and then sew it back. And then I guess wake you up. So at least a person used some type of a medical language, like a doctor, like the way a doctor would operate on somebody. So we're gonna go to Genesis. I'm not gonna read word for word every word, but I'm gonna try to quickly go through it, because I'm sure a lot of you already read Genesis. I'm trying to give shed a little light about the first creation and then the second creation. So when you go to Genesis, the first chapter, verse 1, this is from the Peace Source. Like I said, those who watched the video have an idea what I'm talking about. So it says, in the beginning, the Most High created the heaven and the earth. I'm sure everybody understand this. In the beginning. So now this creation, that beginning, you can't put a time on this. Because I remember there were people back then, I remember they used to say, well, that's 12,000 years ago, because each day represent 1,000 years. And after the first 6 days, that's 6,000 years. And then Adam, another 6,000 years, that's 12,000 years ago. Well, I mean, the fact that archaeology have found so many proof that this earth is way older than this. They have found bones, although some people say, well, we can't really, trust that carbon dating thing. But at this point, I think, almost everybody has an idea that almost everybody has an idea that the earth is not 12,000 years old. The earth been around for a long, long time. Hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions, hundreds of billions. Whatever science is saying right now, nobody can really prove that the earth is whatever they're saying. Even if they say 4 billion years old, there's no way to prove that. Anybody who says this in any books, they're just talking because they are free, they're allowed to have their own opinion. They cannot prove that. So the first verse in the beginning, the Most High created the heaven and the earth. We cannot put a time on this. Let's just say a long time ago, this part happened. And then it's going to go into details. And it says the earth was void. The earth was without form. Well, this version said without form. The King James said was void, which is the same thing, without form. And void and darkness was upon the earth, was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters. So it's just saying, it starts with the earth. That means the earth was created, you know. And then it starts by saying it had water. So what year was that? Nobody knows. Only the person who did this would know. The Most High, whoever created this. So a lot of people are going to say, well, just in case for those naysayers who say, well, this is some folklore, fairy tale, whatever, and this can be proven. I mean, you're 100% right, but I'm sure we live over here. Human beings have always trying to sit down and trying to come up with some type of story, some type of theory, you know, how we got here, the earth. So for the sake of not arguing, if you think this is a folklore, this is some made up stuff, you know, nobody can argue with you, you know. But those Israelites who sat down back then, the wise ones, when whatever information they had that were passed down to them, when they analyzed it, they said, well, this is what we're gonna conclude. You know, same way in our time, you know, people in our time, they trying to conclude their own Big Bang theory. You know, the Egyptian had their own version of, you know, how, you know, the world came about. The Babylonians, the Sumerians, the Assyrians, every single civilization had their own version of how they think, you know, we came about, how the earth came about. So this is the Bible version, you know. But one thing I would say with the Bible version, it definitely looks like it's describing something called terraform. How the earth was terraformed. Terraform meaning how the Most High, a creator, sat down and said, look, I'm going to come up with a place for people to live. And this is the format I'm going to follow to terraform that place, to make it suitable for life. So this is what I'm going to do first, second, third, fourth, fifth, without giving any time. So whoever wrote this, I'm sure knew about, you know, at least the concept of terraforming. For example, if there was a such thing as a planet out there called whatever, Jupiter, Mars, any planet, Pluto, let's pick anyone. And then, you know, scientists down here who think they have wisdom, they say, look, we gotta do something to make it, to terraform it, to turn it to a place where people can live. So they'll have to say, look, we gotta do this first, we gotta do that second, we gotta do, you know. So when you read Genesis, that's all to me, it's talking about terraforming a place so people can live. And it's giving you the steps. So first the earth was void. And water was everywhere. It's like if I had a cup, it's almost like a bowl. I had a bowl here, a bowl of water filled with water. A bowl filled with water. And then it says, the Spirit of the Most High move upon the face of the waters. So there is a creator, a guy who's involved, a big scientist, you know, and it's not just him by himself, him and a bunch of other so-called gods. That's why it says, in the beginning, God, but when you read it in the Hebrew, it says, in the beginning, the gods, more than one. And it's not referring to no New Testament type of theory, just some holy trinity. Because when you read in the Tanakh, you see examples where in the Tanakh where you see they show you the Most High as a government, one king, one person, and then he has a bunch of angels with him. So when you read the story of Gideon, that's where they got the 300 movie with the Greeks thing. The idea came from Gideon. So they got the story of the Greeks, and then they used Gideon with 300, the movie 300, because only Gideon had 300 troops, soldiers to fight with him, and then the rest. And when the Most High asked Gideon, do you think you fighting alone? I mean, and Gideon didn't know. The Most High said, look over there on top of the mountain. And when Gideon looked, he saw a bunch of angels, a bunch of whatever technologies they had, whether spaceships, whether, most likely was in airplanes and helicopters, whatever they had, they had to have a way to come down here. They didn't just fly like in church, they got wings and they fly all the way from where they're at, and they like spurts, So when you read that story, you see, Gideon, an earthly dude over here, then the Most High show him, well, you got a lot of help than you think you know. Look at over there, a bunch. So I'm saying this to say, so when it says in the beginning, Elohim, meaning the so-called gods, plural, created heaven and earth. So it wasn't just, if they doing a big job like this, it wasn't just one or two or three, And then there's another misconception, well, especially in the New Testament, that they're trying to say, the Most High did everything with just his words. And his word is really one guy, which is Jesus. So once he says, let there be light, just his word just created light. Well, that's some type of spooky Bugs Bunny type of, he just said the word. It's like me saying, I'm hungry, or let there be food. And then I look, oh wow, food is here, let me eat. That's some spooky stuff. When you really analyze the creation story, that's not how the Most High created things. The Most High is a physical man just like us. Even if his body is more superior and the angels more superior, although we like a bunch of little replicas of him. But whatever had to be done, work had to be done. It wasn't just, he just said the word out of nowhere like magic, boom, and then that thing just appears. No, as a king, he said the word. He said, let there be something. Yo, you guys go work and do this. You guys do this. You guys do this as a king, not as magic. He just said the word, all, the gods, I guess, well, and I guess if it did happen like the Christian version, I guess it would have to happen like this, because only three of them is one, the God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost. That's only three of them. So if it did happen like this, of course, nobody's working because only three of them. So somebody, God would have to sit down and say, let there be this, and then everybody watch. Oh, boom, clouds. Say, let there be clouds. Boom, a lot of clouds just come. Let there be water. Then a bunch of water just come down. Let there be this. It's just like the Egyptian thing. When somebody died, a pharaoh died, they mummify him, and then inside his coffin, they'll make a picture of food just in case when he gets to the next world there was no food. He'll say some magic stuff, magic spells, magic words, and then the picture of the food will turn to real food, and then they'll be eaten. So although in those coffins they'll put food inside the coffins for the dead guy, the dead mummy guy, just in case he runs out of food. There's a lot of pictures of food inside the coffin. So once he gets to that next world, all he has to do is turn those pictures to real food. That's some spooky Bugs Bunny, stuff. You have to be like, you have to be extremely deceived to think this makes sense. But somebody can just, you know, see the picture of the food and turn it into food. That's like me. Sometimes listening to things like this, they'll have you think some crazy stuff. That's like me saying, I'm gonna do a tattoo on myself, a tattoo of a gun. So every time I'm outside, somebody say the wrong thing, I'm just gonna bring it out and shoot and then put it back. That's some spooky stuff. That's yeah, it sounds like, yeah, some big stuff, like sounds very, what's the word, some wonder, like it says in the New Testament, in the New Testament. All of a sudden there was wonder in heaven. It sounded like some wonderful stuff, but things like this don't exist. Even the God of the so-called Bible, he doesn't work like this. If he wants a gun, he's gonna make it and then he's gonna use it. He's not gonna say, let there be gun, and then boom, guns come. That's in that case, he didn't really make us in his image, after his likeness. That means we should have the same power too. So if he can do this, most likely he would have give us some of that power to say, oh, let there be food. Just like the Jesus story. There's only 2 fish left with a little piece of bread, and then he'll just do something, and then they'll turn to a boatload of fish to feed people, and a boatload of bread. Instead of get some money and go buy the bread to feed the people. But no, that's not that wonderful to even say. That's not, that's not a miracle. So the Spirit Most High move upon the face of the waters. So his creating spirit, all his technology, whatever he's gonna use, to create everything. Not the only thing, when it started with, it was just a bowl of water. So now that thing is just, they're just here going around, the water, okay, because they're about to start. So the first thing they said in verse 3, let there be light. Just to show you that the Most High is just as human as us. If you're about to start working and it's dark, the first thing you do is turn on the light. But some people, they'll say, well, this is God, so he doesn't need light. Well, if he has eyes, he needs lights. Like I said, if he made us to look like him, to feel like him, and think like him, just like him, that means the same way we have 2 eyes, he has 2. He doesn't have 3, he doesn't have 4. Although you'll see scripture that says, he may have a bunch of eyes, he sees everything. Well, he doesn't see everything. The way he sees everything, because he has people there. So, he has angels there to see for him. And then they come back and tell him what's happening. It's not because he's like seeing, like he's some one of those spooky thing in movies and he's able to see everywhere. No, he's a man. He's a man just like me. Not in the same power, but he has eyes, he has nose. He gave us nose because he has nose. He gave us ears because he has ears. He's a man. Even when you read in that same book of Genesis, the 18th chapter, you see it says that Abraham sat down and ate with him. They talk. He talks like a man. And then he told Abraham, there's a lot of things going on in some place called Sodom and Gomorrah that they told, a lot of reports have come to me, and they're saying there's something going on. So if the Most High was like the spooky God in the Christian thing, he wouldn't say this. Say, look, when I'm a billion miles away from where I am, I can see what's going on down here. No, he didn't say this. He said, look, they have told me there's a lot of things going on down there. I couldn't believe it, so I had to come down to see if it's true. Who the hell gonna have a God that's totally opposite of you? It should be just like you. Even the dogs, if they have gods, I think they'll have a dog god, a god dog, whatever you want to call it, a big dog. That's their God. If the cats have gods, like somebody, because the word God really, it just means power, means a ruler. You know, the same way we have rulers down here, like a king, like princes, like in our time we have a president. God is just a bigger president, a bigger king. I'm not saying as far as size, I don't know his size, but as far as his power, you know, not some spooky guy. So these are all examples that shows you, you know, God is a physical guy. But now the heathen religions, the pagans religions, like Christianity, voodoo, and all the others, Islam, they always create a God that's like, they say he has no body. He's just something flying in the air, some spirit, some some. This thing didn't even say God is a spirit. This is the spirit of God. You know, that's like if they say the clothes of me, my clothes. I'm not the clothes. The same way we have something to make us alive. God, the so-called God, I have to keep saying so-called God. He has something that makes him alive. That's why he said he's the living God. You know, we used to be alive. Well, I'm gonna go to this. Now everybody's dead. Since Adam encountered the serpent, everybody's dead. I'm dead. Although, you know, I'm alive in the physical sense, but the alive that God has, that he has in his body, we don't have it. We're just like dogs, cats, animals. We're not even alive. We're dead. So which I'm gonna get into all this. So the first thing he did, let there be light. And it says, and God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So after the light was done, you know, and God said, all right, this is perfect. I don't need to put nothing into it. I don't need to take away anything. This is perfect. It's like cooking the food. Rice is done cooked. Then you taste it. Then you say, okay, well, I don't think I need to add any more salt. I don't need to add any more oil. Good. That's the same thing with the light. And then God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So that's how we understand the concept of night and day. And that's before any sun was created. And that's just the earth being a bowl of water. The first thing the Most High did to start working with his government, his gang of angels, messengers, other people just like him, he created light. He turned on the light. For us, we'll just turn on the light, but him, he had to create the light. A lot of people saying, well, the light is not talking about a physical light. It's not talking about a physical light. It's referring to some format, no, it's not. Because if you say that light is not really light to work, then the earth is not a regular earth either then. Then the earth is just some mental earth, some spiritual earth, some invisible earth. So yes, this is a physical light. We're not the only one who can create lights. The Most High, the angels who are in a higher level than us, people who are in a higher level than us, who don't live here. I mean, if you think the only people that's living, period, only humans, and there's no other places you have people, I think you need to go meditate and go read more. Go sit outside more and watch and try to understand life, to see, you know, to even try to see if it makes sense that the only breathing creatures in this entire, whatever it is, I'm not going to call it universe, the entire, whatever it is, if you think only us are breathing, if that was the case, then we finished. Because these people down here, they have their ways. The people with power over here, oh wow, if they were the only people We were the only people, and then these people are the people in power, and then that's it. We all doomed. There's gotta be other helps out there when the right time comes. They'll have to come and show people and like, okay, we've been watching for all these years. And you people been doing even more evil and more evil and more evil stuff every day. So at this point, that's it. No more. And all you evil ones, I'll take all of them, put them in a bag, and throw the bag in some fire and burn them. So if even the atheists, if that's what you think, and well, whatever we see that's holy, it is, whatever we see, all those people that's out there doing all the evil thing, they sit down and say, oh, let's bring out COVID, let's kill a few people. How about let's start a little war, let's kill a few people. Let's take the water and poison, let's kill some more people. Let's bring out some new rules. Let's have, if this person want to have 3 breasts, why not? As long as you have the money, just do a surgery, put a 3rd breast here. In fact, put a breast right there on your back. If that's what it is, oh man, we would be doomed. And there's no way it can be like this. But you atheists, I mean, you don't see any proof, so there's nothing I can tell you. You Christians or any other religions, though you don't see any proof, but you still want to come up with some theory about some gross, funny way of thinking things, some God that has no body, because if God had a body, then everybody would want to know, okay, so how does he look then? Does he look like me or looks like this guy? So to avoid all this, you have to say, well, God is just an air flying around. Some people say, well, he's not even a he. Because some people get offended if you say he. You have to say, well, she, what about the women? Somebody got to represent for them. Why everything good got to be men? Why can't God be also women too? So some people, you can even use the word he. But anyway, God is a he. As a king, I don't know anything about him having a wife. Although all the heathen gods have wives. Not only they have wives, they have their mothers. Then they turn their mothers into wives. It's like the Jesus story. You have Jesus, Mary. He's a mother of God, which is Jesus, and then God got Mary pregnant. So it's some gross thing, So the same God that got the woman pregnant, then turn around, he becomes that woman's son. That's that's the heathen religion. So now verse after the light, verse 6, and God said, meaning Elohim said. So all this is using the word Elohim because according to those sources, there was a group of people that said God's name was Elohim. Although this is not the E version. The E version didn't start. The E version didn't start yet. The E version didn't start until Abraham. When you really see, when you really dig into, the documentary hypothesis. So the E version started with Abraham. That's in Genesis, whatever it is. But if I need it, in fact, in this book, it'll tell me exactly when the E version start. Well, you may not be able to see it, but if you have this book, like I said, you'll see what I'm talking about. So the E version didn't start until Genesis 20th chapter. So that's when the E version started. So this is the P version that I'm reading now. So obviously the priests and that P version, the priest is referring to the Aaronid priesthood. The priesthood where Aaron, all the high holy priest, the priesthood came from Aaron. So if you in order for you to be a priest, a top priest, and any priest, you had to come from Aaron. So the peace source. So this is what I'm reading right now in Genesis. for some of you, it may not make sense. What's the peace source? You know, maybe that's not for you. If it may be too much, too high, because you're not on that level of reading the Bible, reading books, you know. But for those of you who have an idea, although like I said, I did do a video to shed a light, so you have a clue. And if you want to know more, you know, you can always go get more books, you know, for those of you who like to learn stuff. But those of you who just one little bit of it, you just learn, it's like spoon feed you, and you're okay, you're good. So this is not really for you. So I'm not trying to confuse you, you know.